at lower back stuff. So a lot of the time I have people coming into either clinic or class that are kind of suffering with heightened sensation down around the back of the pelvis or the lower back. So the first thing that I really want to do is kind of see is the pelvis can we get any movement into this area? So the pelvis, it moves in 3 planes of motion. So we're going to have a look at sagittal plane motion in this video, number 1. So we'll come and we'll lie down on the floor. So sagittal plane motion, first of all, is this kind of forwards and back motion. So we're going to be looking at a pelvic tilt and tuck. So what's called an anterior tilt and a posterior tilt of the pelvis. But I want to keep it as simple as possible. So first thing that we'll do is we'll just come and we'll lie down and we'll try and find a quiet space first of all, somewhere that you can go off when you're not going to be disturbed. And we'll come and we just try and allow the weight of the back of the pelvis just to settle into the support of the floor or the mat underneath you. And we can just notice if it feels like there's a lot of kind of activity or a lot of kind of a contraction or noise. The volume is it turned up, down around this area, and more than likely if you're in pain, yes it is. So all we're really trying to do with this little sequence is just to get things to quieten down, turn that volume down a little bit. So we notice first of all, how is the back of the pelvis settling into the mat? We can then visualize a clock face on the back of our pelvis, okay? So if we visualize a clock face on the back of our pelvis, we're going to pick 12 o'clock up towards the top, up towards the pelvic kind of rim, or just underneath the kind of waistband of your pants. And then right down at the bottom, at the other end, towards the tailbone, we're going to visualize 6 o'clock here. So we've got 12 up top, 6 down bottom. You can also sometimes, what I find is helpful is if you visualize actually the back of the pelvis like a little rocking chair. And we're going to rock that weight forward and back through sagittal plane motion here. So on an in-breath, we're going to just allow our weight to shift a little bit towards our 6 o'clock or towards our tail. And then as we breathe out, we're melting back or shifting our weight a little bit back towards our 12 o'clock. So we're just checking in, first of all, do we have this motion available to us through the pelvis? And if we're in a situation where we're feeling a lot of sensation down there, we've probably gone into protective mode, and there's probably not going to be a huge amount of movement available. So we're really just checking in to see what movement we have available. And what movement we have available through not forcing or pushing. So we want to keep this as easy as we possibly can. So as we breathe in, we're just gently rocking or shifting our weight towards our 6 o'clock, towards our tailbone. This is called an anterior pelvic tilt. And then as we breathe out, we're melting back towards our 12 o'clock. And this is called a posterior pelvic tilt. You might then begin to notice that it's easier for you to go in one direction in comparison to the other. And if that's the case, you're not going to force it in the direction that it does not want to go to. So we're just keeping this easy, 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 as effortless as we possibly can, moving within pain-free range if possible. And sometimes we need to just lie here, breathe and imagine this and just allow our systems to settle down. If we want to kind of progress from here, we can then begin to notice as we make this small motion of the pelvis forward and back, what do the 5 vertebrae of the lumbar spine do? So this lower back arch. And as I breathe out and begin to tuck my pelvis or melt back towards my 12 o'clock, do I notice a kind of a relaxation or a lowering of this lower back arch towards the mat? And then as I breathe in and tip the pelvis towards it 6 o'clock, am I noticing an extension through these 5 lumbar vertebrae, or kind of arching in the lower back. So we just notice, we just do this a few times and we're trying to relax into this movement as much as we can. We can then begin to notice, do those 5 vertebrae all move in one lump together? Or can we get a tiny little bit of a timing difference so that we're starting down low and it's moving, like as if you were going to knock over a row of dominoes. As we knock the first one, the one at the end doesn't drop straight away. The next one, the one before influences the next one, and so on. So this is what we're trying to achieve here. So we start at the bottom, next bone influences the one above and above and above, and this then begins to filter right up through our spine. You might even begin to notice movement up through the 12 vertebrae of the thoracic. And you might even, if the movement is filtering all the way up, you might begin to notice a very similar weight shift on the back of the skull bone that's happening on the back of your pelvis. Don't worry if you're not noticing these little movements. So as I melt back, I get this kind of push up through the spine. And as I tip forward, it's nearly like I'm getting this kind of pulling sensation down through the spine. Trying to work with that breath all of the time. So as I tip the pelvis forward, if that movement's filtering up at the top, you might notice the chin comes a little bit closer to the chest. And then as I go in the opposite direction at the end of the movement, you might notice the chin moves a little bit away from the chest. And again, do not worry if you're not noticing these connections. So a lot of the time, we'll begin to notice more as we begin to let go more. So that is movement number 1 in our lower back series. I'll be back later on with a second video. So thanks for watching.